And I'm going to go on mute and then we're going to get started.
All right, welcome everyone. We're going to get started in a moment as people join this webinar on data analytics. Welcome everyone. We'll be getting started in one moment. Hello, everyone. We are waiting just a moment for people to join this webinar. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We're waiting for additional people to join. All right. Well, again, thanks everybody who's joined our webinar on making data work for us and driving growth with analytics. And first, we're going to introduce ourselves, some of the speakers. Next slide, please. My name is Debbie Zelten, and I'm the Practice Director for Custom Applications and Data Analytics. So all the resources and projects come through my practice. And then joining me are Shail, who will introduce herself from Synoptic.
Thanks, Debbie. Hi, I am Shail Rathi. I am the Practice Director for Business Intelligence, partnering with customers on their BI journey to achieve their strategic goals and actionable data insights. Welcome all.
All right, thanks, Shail. And then joining us is Microsoft with us today. And Manish, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Debbie. Greetings, everyone. I'm Manish Dhall, a Partner Technology Strategist working with Synoptic to build solutions using Microsoft Cloud technologies. I'm a part of Microsoft Global Partner Solution team. We are responsible for driving business, technical, and marketing strategy for partner solution offers. Glad to be here with Synoptic and launching Microsoft Cloud-based data analytics solution practice.
All right, thank you, Manish. And joining Manish from Microsoft is Mike. Mike, you're going to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Mike Shelton with Microsoft. I'm a cloud solution architect in our partner organization focused on data and AI. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Mike. And today we're going to talk about the challenges and business drivers about doing analytics, maturity of analytics and business intelligence platforms, success factors, expected outcomes that you would expect from a BI platform, Synoptics Approach, and then we'll talk about some case studies and a little bit more about the Synoptic Overview to learn more about Synoptic. So with that, we're going to start with the common challenges that I think most of you can identify with in analytics programs and solutions. The first one is just, there's a lack of clearly defined BI strategy. So it's important that each organization has a clear defined BI strategy that maps to their overall business strategy so that you are studying the right things and collecting the right metrics. An example that we've seen is when there is lack of strategy is, which leads me to the next point, which leads me to the next one, which is then you end up sometimes with siloed or partial analytic solutions, and then you don't get any value for that platform. So for example, in the manufacturing organization, they had a bunch of different ERPs and different departments across the world. So they all started doing different analytics without an overall strategy. So a lot of components not being able to really get the value, more at just the very single department level, and not really having the right KPIs nor the right strategy to help the business. And so there were a lot of manual efforts, although there were analytics. And the next challenge is, lack of KPI measurement by the businesses, right? So it's important to have the right KPIs the right business strategy so that you can get your competitive advantage, as well as you want to make sure that your KPIs really match your business, which again, I keep on mentioning the business strategy. So what's important to that business? Are you going to measure some financial KPIs, inventory, performance and sales, and then eventually some predictive analytics. So it's really important to get those right KPIs that really drive actions and insights into what is actually happening in your business. The other challenge that you can probably identify with is also it's really hard to justify these business intelligence solutions. And so with some of these other challenges that I've mentioned, you end up sometimes spending a lot more money with Band-Aid or smaller solutions without having an overall program and strategy. So, you can get, when you start adding up all the manual efforts and the data quality issues and all the problems that you may have by not having a BI solution, we work with our customers to make sure that they get that ROI for that business intelligence solution. And another example that I can provide with that is we worked with a resort company who, and this is a very small example, but one of the CFO was manually gathering data, was spending 3 hours a day gathering data and spreadsheets. And with that, we were able to automate that solution to basically be able to provide that data that he needed to be able to make his decisions on a daily basis within a few minutes. The other challenge is lack of data quality maintenance and data governance. So when you're doing a solution, it's important to, you're going to start at the source and make sure that you have the right sources and data owners, which is part of a data governance program, so that as the data is fed into the data warehouse and the reports are created, you have data quality. And so a lot of companies that we see do have data quality issues, and we come in to help them fix. An example of that is with a medical device manufacturer. We're seeing them not being able for their users to trust the data or the reports. So we came in to help them put some structure and fix their line of business systems and the data quality, put some governance, and enhance their capability. So with that, the last point being, we help enable actionable and strategic decision making with the companies that we work with to really help achieve the business goals and overcome these challenges. All right, so the other thing that we want to discuss now is just business intelligence maturity. So many of the companies that we work with, we see them starting really at the beginning and help them move throughout the journey of analytics. So depending on where your organization is at, you may have a platform, you may be getting the value, you may not be, or sometimes some organizations don't have the right platform or any platform. So we can help with, just starting at the beginning of that journey to create that platform, to get some of those, to answer some of the basic questions like what happened, why did it happen, and really understanding what those KPIs, and then moving it up to what's happening now, to then, to the predictive analytics of, once you get the platform, you can start using predictive analytics to understand the what if scenarios, what would happen. So it's important, to start on the journey wherever you may be, and then you will get enable yourself to get the value out of that platform, and your business value will be high, and your complexity of the analytics will grow, and the ability for your users and your company will be able to get some actionable insights from that. And so here we talk about what are the components of a BI platform. So there's many different components of a BI platform. It's not just, one thing like a data lake, for example. There are many different parts. So there's a set of sources, which is kind of the different kinds of data that would be coming into the platform from different line of business systems, which is LOB. Could be a CRM system. You might have graphical data. You might have images. Data from IoT or the cloud, or external and internal data sources. And part of the platform is to ingest that data into some storage mechanism, and then explore that data, and then move it through prepping and training, which is what we call ELT, loading the data and transforming the data and making sure it's quality, the single source of truth, so that you have, one set of customer records that all are, when you have multiple ERP systems, you'll have multiple customers, and if all the data isn't cleansed and brought all together, you cannot report on the entire customer record or potentially the revenue that customer would be generating. So the different components are, the ingesting the data, which is the ETL, and querying all the data, then prepping it, transforming it, and then making sure it's all stored in the data warehouse in the different cubes or data marts or the right model to be able to then allow the visualization tool, something like Power BI, to do the reports. So with that, and then on top of that, the whole platform is the metadata management and governance, right? Which is just making sure there's governed data to make sure it's quality across the entire platform, and that there's data owners and processes that map back to keeping that clean and governed throughout the process. And the next slide. So one of the things that we also talk about success factors of it in a journey. So when I talked about some of the challenges can be solved to make sure you have some of these in place. So for example, leadership. It's important to have having leadership buy-in and driving that across the organization, an analytical culture and a data-driven culture as well across the organization. So it needs to start at the leadership level. And then also at the enterprise level, the management and the funding and coordinating the BI resources across the organization is important as well, because this is not just a IT function, it is a business function and affects all the different business components and their decisions that they need to make in their different departments. And the data needs to come all together. So it's really at the enterprise level. Data. So the other key success factor is making sure that you have that the data is governed, that it's quality and has accuracy. Otherwise, nobody will trust the reporting that comes out of the platform. And so again, because data is in different parts of the organization, it's important for it to all come together and make sure that it is governed and that it's quality. Then it's also important to have the right targets to measure the metrics to drive your performance. So you have to look at what is important to your business, what decisions need to be made, and making sure that you establish those right targets so that you do get the ROI out of the platform that you're building. And then there's the technology. You need to make sure you implement the right architecture to support your use cases and enable it for, the types and the structured data that you have and unstructured data, the volume of data, et cetera. So you have to have the right components to be able to support that. And so that it can scale with the right security and all the right components. Then there's analysts. It's very important to have the right talent. You need not just data scientists, but subject matter experts that come within the organizations to help understand the data, right? So the people who are actually looking at the data are not the business SMEs. So it's important that you have the right business SMEs who can interpret the data and understand what it means, and also come up with the right scenarios for the business. Then there's the analytical techniques. So the analytical techniques are, the predictive and prescriptive kinds of techniques and models that are needed to be able to handle the what if scenarios and the more advanced analytics scenarios. All right, and the next slide. So then when we work with our customers, we want to make sure that you get the expected outcomes. As we talked about earlier, is the, getting ROI out of the platform, right? So some of the outcomes that you will expect when we work with our customers is to really make sure that you've consolidated the data and integrated it from multiple sources so that you do have master data. And I talked about the customer record because most people have customers, and it's really important to make sure that you have that single view of your customer. And there might be other entities that are important to your organization to have a single view of that kind of entity. It's also important to make sure we have data-driven insights, right? So we need to make sure that we have, you can see the key business metrics for your organization. And then increase efficiency. Now, this is a very big one with when putting in a BI platform, is this helps when we put in a BI platform, you will eliminate and optimize very redundant processes because you're trying to automate and bring it all together into one place. We also would identify cost and time saving opportunities. We eliminate a lot of the manual efforts. We work with another organization where we identified about 750 hours a month of manual efforts that are being spent by their key VP level executives. So we're working with them to automate this so that they don't have to spend that time, and that's a significant cost savings and definitely has immediate ROI. Also standardizing the unstructured data and then allowing for effective decision making. The other one is advanced analysis. So this also, when you bring all this data together, it enables you to do historical analysis. It eventually allow you to enable predictive analysis once you determine what your scenarios are. And then all this can be part of, with the data visualization tools, will allow you to do that analysis easily in a nice graphical format. And we're going to be showing you some examples of where we've done that later in this webinar. And then there's also the automation. So obviously automating the task scheduling and moving the data logging and all that is automated and tracked. So it makes it efficient and faster than all the manual efforts. And then it's automating all that ingestion of the data, right? You have your HR systems, you have your marketing systems, you have your line of business systems, which might be your manufacturing system, you have your CRM. So there's many different systems where all this data is coming from to be able to get those insights. And so our approach will help, and I'm going to talk about our approach a little bit later, is, when we work with our clients, we want them to achieve these benefits with the platform that they build. So, and the other thing is we want to enable people within the organization to make their decisions and stay ahead of the curve. And so we measure our success with our clients is, where they are at the maturity, where they want to go, ROI to allow for automation, quicker decision making, and then also user adoption. So sometimes this is many times it's a big change management where people are not used to this data-driven insights. They aren't used to having dashboards or used to using their Excel spreadsheets. So we work with the organization to help them through this journey, this user adoption journey. All right, and then now I'm going to turn it over to Shail, who's going to talk about the benefits of a data platform. You're on mute. Okay, now you're not sharing the screen. Can you share the screen, Shail?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Is it visible?
No.
Okay. I see that there is seems there is a little glitch.
Would you like me to share?
Yes, yeah, if it's possible, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, yeah. So thanks, Debbie. Yes, so we have reviewed in the previous slides about the expected outcomes. And I would want to piggyback on the same and would like you to walk you through the benefits that we have been able to achieve for some of our implementations across various domains. So talking about the data-driven decisions, uh, the one of the examples that we have is for our non-profit organization, we have been able to get a major KPI change, which was from their 2 weeks of timeliness, which is actionable insight. They were looking after the progress notes that they write for their patients. Initially, when they started with the BI journey, they were almost at around 2 weeks. And with the dashboards that we provided and the reports, we could bring them to an organization threshold of 4 days. That was a major achievement. And as we will be walking through a detailed case study, we would be able to see through as to what kind of dashboards did we enable them with. Now, talking about the next benefit is the cost efficiency. Now, this is about one of the logistics carrier providers and the freight forwarders. We were able to generate and support with them with the right set of the analytical report, such that they were able to reduce their team size by half, and they were able to increase their productivity by almost 110%. So we would be also reviewing the great story about the various KPIs that we were able to enhance for them. Now, the talking about the third important benefit, and that's about the data quality. This is very critical. The line of the business systems may have some or the other limitation, and as the data travels to that of the data warehouse, there's an opportunity to enhance the data quality. We were able to achieve the reduction of the manual efforts and enhance the data quality by almost 47% for one of our organization, as we help them collate the data from various analysis system and pull that data together into actionable information. So that's an opportunity which is clear cut available with that of consolidation of the data. Talking further about the next benefit is about the data security. Now, data warehouse enables you to have a higher level of the security. And how is that possible? Through that of the role-based, fine-grained access dashboards that we provide. So in our previous case, which I talked about into the nonprofit organization dealing with the mental health for children, they were able to eliminate the need for the supervisor to spend almost 2 to 4 hours per week by providing the data to the clinicians at their own end. So supervisor used to have interaction and they used to fetch the data from the line of the business system and provide it to the clinician because the LOB did not have a fine grade access. So that enhances on two aspects, the data security as well as that of the efficiency. Now, with that of a data warehouse, the another benefit that you can have is about the historical analysis, as Debbie has mentioned in one of the expected outcomes. So you have an opportunity to sync years worth of the data and do a lot of trained analysis. We were able to help one of the health science university to review their historical cohort data and identify their underperforming majors and take the corrective actions in calibrating their courses. Now that was possible since we synced almost 10 plus years of the data and gave them the trend analysis. This historical data is also important when we wanted to have some kind of predictive analysis, and that is like the sales forecasting. In case of one of the home improvement production company, we were able to provide them with the insights so that they could scale their marketing budgets considering the seasonal aspects for the sales. So that's one of the benefit that your BI platform would be able to leverage out for you. And the last one that is available to you is the faster data access. So with that of the BI solution, we are able to get into a dashboard or the report, which might take a lot of manual collation as one of the example that Debbie had cited before. For one of our client in the hospitality industry, we were able to collect their data in less than 5 minutes for their daily performance across their hotels, activities, restaurants, which they used to take almost close to 3 hours each single day collating that data. So that is one of the biggest advantage that you would be able to looking forward to when you have a data platform.
All right, thanks, Shail. Go ahead.
Moving on, next is the slide on the Microsoft and the partnership that we have with Microsoft. We are working with Microsoft Stack for some of our implementation and have been using the Azure Cloud Services, and extensively have worked with the data services component for solutioning the various data warehouses. Now, I wanted to reinforce the a well-known fact that Microsoft has been the leader per the various stories and the trend that has been identified by Forrester as well as Gartner. Microsoft has been the leader into the BI and the analytics platform. Thanks, Debbie.
All right, thanks, Shail. All right, now we're going to talk about our approach, Synoptics approach to creating a BI platform. So first, we have to make sure that, or work with you with your business strategy. What decisions does your organization need to make, right? So we need to understand what really matters to your business. How do you gain that competitive edge against your competitors? And what kind of focus are you? What kind of organization do you want to drive? Are you the low cost provider of a product? Are you a loyalty, for your customers? More, you want loyalty plus service? What is your distinctive capability for your organization? So we want to work with you across these different questions, right? How do you distinguish yourself in the marketplace? What makes you different than other organizations? What are your key decisions in your processes and elsewhere that need to be supported from these data-driven decisions or insights? Also, what information matters to your business, and what will help you leverage your performance, right? So what are those decisions? And these things can be department and at the corporate level, depending on your organization. Then once we get these, determined, then we can move into a further requirements and discovery phase, where we really want to review your current state, KPIs, and determine any gaps, determine those future state use cases, look at your data sources and sharing needs, determine what the architecture would be based on those requirements, determine the data governance needs and requirements, and develop a roadmap for how to move forward. And then the second phase is development, right? So then we're going to set up the architecture, migrate any data to the cloud, to that data warehouse, build the ETL framework and pipelines, load any historical data, create all the audit logging, test and develop these reports to start getting some ROI on the efforts that have been done in the first couple phases, right? So we take an approach where we want to iterate and get some reports out after we build that architecture and add sources as we evolve. So then in the evolve phase is ongoing support and maintenance, and adding sources or adding departments, and continuing monitoring and enhancing the reports, as well as there would be some user adoption and continuous support and evolution of the platform. And Shail will share an example where we were, where we went on a journey with one of our customers. And then these are the corresponding deliverables for each one of the different phases that are related to the tasks that are done during each one of these phases. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Shail, where she'll talk about the case studies and our well-architected data warehouse architecture.
Thanks, Debbie. So we talked about the blocks that are critical to any BI platform in the previous slides. Now, this is the manifestation of those block-based data platform into that of a Microsoft architecture. This is a well-architected data warehouse architecture that we have been using and working with on various data warehouses. There are success stories that we shall be talking about in the later slides. This architecture has been Microsoft Tech validated, and I would like to invite Mike Shelton to talk about the key aspects of it.
Yep. Thank you, Shail. Just wanted to spend a few minutes and mention some of the work that we've been doing with Synoptic. And as Shail mentioned, what you're seeing here is representative of what we refer to as the well-architected framework. And one of the ways that we've been working with Synoptic is to align best practices for architecture implementation. And we refer to those best practices as the Microsoft Azure Well-Architected Framework. And that well-architected framework includes 5 categories of implementation. And those categories include the 5 areas of reliability, security, cost optimization, operational excellence, and performance efficiency. So as you look at this architecture diagram that Shail has shared with us, you'll see several components in the diagram that represent these various different components, such as Azure Monitor, Azure Cost Management and Billing, Azure DevOps for that operational efficiencies and best practices there, as well as Azure Purview. So these represent Synoptic's alignment and execution of the Microsoft's Azure Well-Architected Framework and best practices that we've collaborated on. Thanks, Shail.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Debbie. So here we are going to talk about one of the case study and the success story that we have worked upon, and that's for a nonprofit behavioral health agency. They have created life-changing programs and services which impact some of the most vulnerable children and the young adults and families. There are programs like the foster care adoption, housing and supporting services, residential treatment, and so on and so forth. Now, this organization had a very important need of centralizing their reporting system. There was a lot of manual data which was being prepared, and they wanted to keep an eye on their actionable insights around their KPIs for service delivery and timeliness. And they were in the need for the role-based dashboards. The data sources that we tapped into was the EHR system NetSmart, the HRMS system Paycom and Ceridian, as well as the financial systems around PowerPlan, as well as the agency data. We started their journey in around 2018, and they wanted to have a crawl, walk, run approach and define the pilots the first and then go on to that of the architecture. So we matched the steps with them and walked alongside and defined a little pilot for that of a change management dealing with their clinicians, then defined the new data warehouse architecture on the Azure cloud, started building their Power BI environment around direct care and the supervisor roles, which was the most critical. As we moved on to 2019, we extended their dashboards for the direct care supervisors with more areas. And as we will be seeing, we also integrated their HRMS system, and we'll be seeing that they be integrated with their KPI thresholds that they wanted to have. So if we go next. So the major important KPI that they had was about the documentation time, which we were able to reduce from 13 days to that of 4 days. And that was through that of the dashboard that was available to the clinician on demand regularly at the every morning for them to see what are the progress notes which are in draft versus that which are in review and in the final state. Now, as we moved on to 2020, we developed and enhanced their dashboards for their research team and compliance, and we're able to achieve another KPI for them, which was around the service delivery. So if we go to the next. The service delivery that they were able to achieve was around 78%. And from that of 78%, we were able to achieve around 116% of service delivery, which was very important for them to have the cost efficiency that they wanted. In 2021, we moved further and started having their leadership and the departmental access KPIs. We democratized the data availability with the self-service to their research department and have implemented some subsidiary functions around the grants and the quality cup and payroll. And with that, we were able to achieve another KPI where we could eliminate around 300 plus hours of the manual effort that they were having in building their quality cup related recognitions across various departments. So we converted the entire manual process of collecting the data and putting it into a Power BI dashboard. So that has been to 21 achievement that we have had with them. With 22, now we are focusing on their compliance requirement. There are a lot of programs like the pediatric symptom checklist and the child and the adolescent needs and strengths. They are the forms that the agency needs at the regular time on the intake, reassessment, as well as the discharge. And we were able to provide the dashboards that would enable their staff to look at the compliance and achieve a higher percentage over there as well. So we moved them from their current 57% in 21 to 77% in 22, which was almost a 20% increase into their compliance. And Debbie, if you could click on the service delivery percentage, we could see the screens. Okay, yeah, we can move on next. Yeah. So talking about the next one is the logistics firm that we have worked with. This particular firm had a challenging need to move onto the new platform. So they were based out of a legacy application and they wanted to move to that of another custom developed application and wanted to have the dashboards around it. So we had this parallel development where we had an application developed alongside which we have a data warehouse. We did start their journey in 2019 and did a data warehouse design for them, did the carrier dashboards and the logistics leadership dashboard, which were critical to them to review their major KPIs. As we moved on next in 2020, we were able to extend those dashboards to manager dashboard, the call activity and carrier representatives who can review their open and the covered shipments all along. Moving on next in 21. So here there was a major milestone that we achieved in 2020 where the pre-book percentage was increased from 25% in June to that of 42% in 20. And this was a major leap for them to enable grow their business. Moving on next, we expanded and this expanded our area into the bid activity, tracking the status and capacity career truck related dashboards, which enable them to increase their on-time delivery, which is a major KPI for logistics from that at 25% to a huge 96%. And this overall led to growth in their gross profits as well as that of the margins, and as well as there was an improvement in their on-time pickups. So for a logistic firm, the analytical dashboards have been a major game changers. Come 22, we are working still with them and have more areas that we are covering. We are covering the daily tracking dashboards, covering the carrier operations dashboards, and the incentive related reports. And this has been a journey that has been multiple years matching steps with them and enabling them on various fronts bit by bit, such that the change management is also being handled very swiftly. Now in 22, we were able to achieve the open to covered same day that was increased from 70% in December to 83%. And this again was a major leap. That the kind of the dashboards that we provided can also be seen. If you can just click on that box. Yes. So these are the dashboards that we have provided them. Talking about the various KPIs on the top, this was 70% and we could bring them to 83% and give them a quick insight into the various areas that were critical to them about the top gross margin, what is the percentage of open to covered, and so on and so forth. So the business value that we delivered to them was a quick availability of the democratized data for almost 92 users across various roles, as well as a huge improvement into the OTP, which is the on-time pickup, on-time delivery, and the gross margin, and the improved organization performance as well. Yeah, we'll move next. Now there are similar so many stories that we have around various domains, but I would want to quickly highlight upon some of the customer success that we have been able to achieve around various KPIs. So for the logistics carrier firm that we talked about, we were able to achieve a 45% workload reduction with 50% increase in their productivity. For another non-profit e-commerce organization, we were able to achieve a 44% year-over-year sales growth, with almost 40 to 50% yearly growth in the recent years. And this is a non-profit e-commerce organization having a marketplace and having various stores across various sellers. So that's another domain that we have a good expertise upon. Moving on next, we have worked with a construction company which has projects around the various organization and the construction related aspects. We have built the enterprise data warehouse for them and providing the continuous support and maintenance, and have grown them to a sizable 250 plus dashboards across their organization employed roles, and are enabling them on a day-to-day basis on various decision making that they have to perform. For a credit union organization, there was a lack of real-time data available to their stakeholders, and we have been able to achieve a 65% faster in their data loading processes from their various sources. So this has been some of the benefits that we have achieved with various domain, and this has been a multi-year journey that we have with them, with various skill set working onto their data platform and a well-defined architecture as a foundation to start with.
All right, thanks, Shail. So now we're going to talk quickly about the Synoptic Overview. So we are a managed service provider as well as a global systems integrator. We have resources across the globe with many different capabilities outside of just analytics. We have our overarching pillar of consulting, IT leadership and management. We have a large dynamics and CRM practice in our business applications practice. We build custom applications and do integrations. We have a workforce productivity, as well as cybersecurity, cloud advancement, and infrastructure performance. So we are able to serve your full IT needs at Synoptic for both application layers and infrastructure solutions. And some of the things that, we are an Azure Expert MSP, a Gold Microsoft partner, and, leading cloud platform managed service provider. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Manish, where he's going to talk about, what it means to be an Azure Expert MSP and partner.
Great. Thanks, Debbie. This is one of my favorite slides, clearly projecting the values of Microsoft and Synoptic deep partnership. In our partnership, we work as a team in building capacity and capabilities for Synoptic team by providing business, technical, and marketing best practices with exclusive training, support, service, and sales programs that accelerate cloud innovation for customer solutions. This helps customers achieve their business priorities and goals. It's a great achievement of Synoptic teams who have earned multiple excellence awards and certification badges from Microsoft. Notable is that Synoptic is one of only 70 partners globally certified as an Azure Expert Managed Service Provider. They are audited by Microsoft annually for not only for certification, but a proven track record in strategy, design, deployment, security, and support. Hence, partners like Synoptic have access to Microsoft special programs that benefits the customers. We are proud of our partnership with Synoptic to drive customer success with Microsoft Cloud Technologies. Thanks, Debbie.
All right, thank you, Manish. With that, we're here to set you up for success with Microsoft and our solutions to help you, achieve your goals. And we have a methodology to support that. We work with our customers. And some of our offerings are across, managed services for data, as well as very specific, project related work to help you, build your data warehouse, do a discovery, predictive analytics, any kind of migrations, visualizations, planning, etc. So we have a whole suite of services in the data practice to help you with your needs. And with that, the next steps are really one of the, for attending the webinar, there's 2 promos. We can help you with a idea workshop. We'll work with Microsoft to help you determine what is possible, what is the art of the possible for your KPIs and metrics within your organization. The second one is a 2-week BI assessment to understand your current state, architecture, where you're at, what are your challenges, and where do you want to go, and what you might do going into the future, and planning out a roadmap for you. And with that, you can scan this QR code below to utilize one of these offers as attending this webinar.
Yeah,
with that,
I would like to add here, this is one of a perfect example of Microsoft and Synoptic partnership. We will be working with Synoptic and customer teams in one-on-one customer workshop for validating the solution architecture of the customer cloud adoption. And from Microsoft side, thank you for joining us today. And please contact the Synoptic team for the next steps.
Thank you, Manish. And thank you, everybody, for attending. We're going to move on to the questions. So if anyone has any questions, I'm going to work on that. So the first question that I see is, how long does it take to build a data warehouse and get some reports? So we typically find, and this is typical, that if you have 2 sources of data and you're looking to build a data warehouse from scratch, and it takes like about 4 weeks to do a discovery on that, understanding those requirements, and then about anywhere from 3 to 5 months to then build the data warehouse. Possibly 3 months to get some initial reports out to the users. So we think that's fairly quick, and then we evolve that into more additional reports within those sources, and then add more sources and continue to evolve the model and the platform starting from there. Our approach is really to get value as soon as possible and continually down that path. Another question that has come in is, where do you see your clients on the, or where do you see I think the question is, where do you see your clients on the maturity model? So I think that question is about where does Synoptic see our clients, well, most of our clients. So we have a lot of clients who are really, many smaller organizations are really in the lower quadrant of the maturity model, where they're just trying to figure out what to do, gathering data via spreadsheets. Some of our clients have tried to make steps towards a platform without really having overall strategy. And so we come in to help them. So usually most of the clients that we've been working are pretty in the low maturity, and we're trying to get them to a mid-level maturity of just being able to report and have some data quality and single source of truth. But the ones that we've worked with for a long time, we have been able to move them to the predictive analytics to even further down the maturity curve, where they can start predict, and some of these are larger clients who have maybe bigger organizations who, for example, need to predict when is the manufacturing component going to go down based on past service performance and breakdowns, right? So there are lots of use cases for predictive analytics, and the clients who do move towards that usually get the value from actually investing in that kind of scenario. The last question is, can our organization just copy or utilize other pre-made dashboards and KPIs from another similar organization? So I think what is really interesting about KPIs is you think you might be able to just take the standard manufacturing or the sales KPIs. And yes, are there some standard ones that you can use, right? Like number of meetings, how long is the meeting, number of calls. There's some standard ones, but in general, to get the competitive advantage of your organization, you really need to drill down to what is important, those strategic questions, to get really what is your specific competitive advantage, what is your business trying to do, and then how do you leverage that information about your business strategy to gain that competitive advantage. So the answer is yes and no, but really to really leverage the platform and KPIs is to really get to those specific ones with your business or your organization. So those are the questions that I have. And we will wrap this up. And I want to say thank you for attending the webinar with Microsoft and Synoptic. And please feel free to scan that QR code, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future and helping you on your data journey. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
We really
everyone.
appreciate it. And thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.